Thanks for watching Littleton Common. And now here's Barbara McRae and Mark Crory. Welcome to Littleton Common. We're excited that you are here. This is going to be a busy month. So many things on the calendar, right? The work on the Senior Center, or the Center, is about to begin. And the ceremony for the groundbreaking will be the first or the second week in March, but you're going to start to see a lot of activity around there. So we're excited.
Good.
Yep.
Anything new about the center, Mark?
Well, there is some new items. I can tell you that they're going to be cutting down some trees in the first week of March and putting up the perimeter fences. They hope to be done with the work by March or April of 2025.
Wow.
So it's going to take a year to complete it. It seems like we've gone through a bunch of things lately with the library and the sewer thing that went through here, and town hall has been tough to park and to maneuver around. So we just got one more year to put up with
maybe
interruptions.
We'll think of something else. You wait.
Right. Okay.
You know what? The Friends of the COA are making plans to host a fundraiser for the center by showing the original Senior Follies on screen at the high school auditorium.
Oh, fun.
And if you enjoyed the Follies or you've never seen them, this is your chance, and also help raise money towards the new building. We had so many laughs doing it, especially in rehearsals. It seems like we always mention the rehearsals are so fun. Anyway, everyone had fun, and so we want to share it with everyone. So we're going to try to figure a price and a date and a time to be determined. And signing up for a seat will be by calling the COA office. Each show was an hour plus, so there might be different dates to show all 4 of the Follies. The first show was made in 2014 and followed in 2015 and 2016, and the final, which was the futuristic type, was made in 2018. So if you want to laugh at quirky, crazy seniors, join us.
Yeah, before we go on with the script, you remember, Barbara, that the first 3 shows we did were live.
Yes.
So we really, I can't believe we did that, actually.
I know.
But we practiced and we rehearsed and we went over all these things, and then we performed them live for the audience. But the last one, as you mentioned, was a movie.
Right.
We shot it and we edited it, and we could, retake the scenes to get them just right. But that was really, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we still had fun even making the little movie because we had a lot of bloopers, and watching them again was silly.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, what always fascinates me is that we had over 25 or 30 people either in it or helping, and everybody was there. Everybody did their job. We got people easily. I mean, going around saying, would you like to be in a play?
Right.
Oh, yes, I would. I mean, we had no problems at all.
Yeah, and some people that you wouldn't think would do that.
Oh, exactly.
We've
got a few that never would dream would do
right.
it. And of course, over the years, we've lost a few. So, but they had fun while they were here. And we had fun with them while they were here.
We missed them. Who knows, maybe someday we'll resurrect the Senior Follies and do another show, an all brand new show.
I've been thinking about it.
I was just kidding.
Yeah, no.
All right, well, let's move on.
Okay, now didn't we just change our clocks, or is time just flying faster as I age? I can't believe daylight savings time has come already, and that's on March 10th. That's the day to give yourself another hour.
Yeah, I'm glad, because I'm not a dark person. I like it light, especially when you leave work. You want at least an hour and a half or something of light.
Yeah.
It stinks to drive home in the dark. So for one, I'm glad.
Do you know something about March? I just thought of, over the years, for me personally, March was not a good month. For some reason, it always made me feel not depressed, because I don't know how to do that, but
Was it because of my birthday in March?
yeah.
Yeah.
You and my father.
Because I was born in March, is that why?
Yeah, that was.
Now the truth
It was
comes
a
out.
downer.
Okay, this will be our last show, folks. I hope you enjoyed our run here. Well, March 17th, which is not my birthday, but it is the day that anyone can be Irish. And just thinking about St. Patrick's Day can make you smile, right? It's a day we all want to celebrate.
Yep. And do you do anything special that day?
Well, I do wear green, but no, as far as any special, we do have corned beef and cabbage sometimes, at the home, but nothing really, and I don't go to parades or anything like that, but,
yeah.
I do celebrate in my own small way, my Irish heritage.
Yeah, and I'm not Irish at all, but it's always, for some reason, it's
Wait a minute.
fun.
What's McRae? Is that Scottish?
Scottish.
Oh.
And that's not me, that's my husband, remember.
Well,
I'm the
come on.
Italian side. And there's an awful lot of families that are Irish and Italian. Seems like a good mix.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
must
does.
be
I think that maybe they immigrated around the same time.
Or they have a lot of laughs together.
That could be too.
That could be
That
it.
could be too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the first day of spring, and
Mm-hmm.
that's on the 19th.
Thank goodness.
Have we had a winter yet? I guess we can start thinking about gardens. And Garden Club has great programs all year. Winter programs get us ready for spring planting. So if you're new in town, or even not new in town, and you like gardening, or you want to learn more about your garden, think about joining this great group. If you happen to have gardening skills and want to share them with the country gardeners, they will welcome you. So let them know you're interested by calling Debbie Gray at 978-985-4016.
Great. Are you still in the garden club?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great. Do they get a lot of men?
One. We would like men to join. I don't know if they're afraid because there's so many women, but at least Dave Plogger's not afraid, and he's there, and he does a lot for the club. And everybody loves having him.
Isn't it interesting that most people who join the garden club are women, but most people who have landscaping companies are men?
I think garden clubs, they've always thought of it as a social women's group.
Right. But it's
Kinda
not. I mean, you look at the planters around town, you look at all the things that they do, the various, there's lots of landscaping involved,
Yeah.
and I'm sure lots of power tools for men who like power tools,
Or me, moi.
Right. Right.
Yeah, well, we've often wondered why more men don't seem to want to join us. And then again, they work and they probably can't come and help do the plantings.
Possibly, yeah.
But they have other times they do it. So,
Yeah, well, a lot of men take pride in their lawns and their
Yeah.
gardens around the house and stuff.
yeah.
Yes.
I just like digging in the dirt.
Yeah, well, me too. Me
Yeah.
too. Well, here's something you might be interested in. I got a call from someone who was interested in doing some publicity about an art contest that they had. And it was for a group from Nuclear Solutions. And I never heard of that.
Me either.
So they started dialoguing with me, and we talked about what they do, and I was really fascinated. So I invited them on the show. They're here today, and we're going to talk to them now. So take a look. All right, I'm very excited to talk about something that's I didn't know much about, but maybe you don't know much about either, and you can see from the symbols behind us. We're going to talk about energy, and in particular nuclear energy. And joining me today is Carolyn McCreary and Marcia Young, and both of you are involved with Eco-Nuclear Solutions, which is kind of a grassroots organization, right?
Yes.
And we're going to talk about nuclear energy because, in today's world, of course, climate change and control and climate, everything climate is hot topic. And we need to address these things and come up with a plan that'll work for the future. And you ladies might have the solutions that we might be looking for, I think. But first of all, tell me about your organization, Eco Nuclear Solutions. How did it form, and what do you do?
We formed about 2 years ago. Several of us had heard a conversation or a talk by David Butts, who convinced us that nuclear energy was the solution to our climate change problem. I particular had been interested in climate ever since I saw An Inconvenient Truth. And
that's probably 25 years now, 30 years now?
Right. And I vowed to do my part. So I got solar panels, increased the insulation in my home, and I even became a selectman in Air to help us become a green community. Mm-hmm. And but as my experience with the solar panels on my roof showed me that they really didn't take care of my energy needs. So I began to wonder about, maybe we needed a different direction. And then I heard this conversation by David Butts and proceeded to do my own research. And then became with David, founded this group of people who are trying to convince other citizens and our elected officials that nuclear is a good, clean, safe energy source. Mm.
Yes, I did go on your website to check it out. I read many of the statistics and charts and things. You have a lot of information on there. And I was pretty amazed at just how nuclear is, a very small footprint as far as if you're going to build a plant, compared to the solar fields and wind fields and all those things, wind farms. So that surprised me because, you see the pictures of the big stacks and you think this must be a huge facility, and they're really not.
No.
So tell me a little bit before we get into the reason why you initially got here, why you were on the show, is because you had a contest. It was an atomic artistry exhibit and a contest, and I've seen some of the photos, and you got people to submit these from all over the world, I understand. So do you want to talk about that?
Marcia was
I'd be happy
part of that project.
Yep. Well, we applied for a grant from the Massachusetts Cultural Alliance to put on a contest that would express the benefits of nuclear power. And to our surprise, we got the grant. And then we began thinking, oh my goodness, this is really a challenge for artists. I mean, how are you going to express in your art the benefits of nuclear power? It's kind of it's a challenge. Right. And so we were kind of concerned that, well, either we wouldn't get any submissions or that they would be really off the wall or something. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, the submissions we got just absolutely blew our minds. I mean, they are magnificent. It's so much better than anything we could have expected. We got submissions from all over the world, not just Massachusetts artists, but 6 other states and 10 other countries. Mm. We have submissions from the Philippines, from India, from Ukraine, from Italy, wow. Canada, Denmark. I mean, it's amazing. And the art is mind-blowing. It is just wonderful.
We do have an example of one
yes,
of them, right?
And I would love it if you would put that up.
Because let's take a look at that, because this particular one you said did come from India, correct?
Yes. A young lady named Gayatri Karnik submitted this. It is a piece of folk art in the style of an indigenous tribe in western India called the Worli. And the Worli right now are they're getting encroachment on their lands from development. And so I'd like to read her actual description of her art because it's wonderful. She says, the art is a reminder of the important coexistence of humans and nature. The painting highlights the low land footprint of nuclear power and celebrates the life thriving around a nuclear plant and the opportunities provided by access to electricity. The area is lush with wildlife, unlike coal plants that radically alter their surroundings. Biodiversity thrives near nuclear plants. So if you take a look at this wonderful piece of folk art, you can see on the lower left, underneath that little palm tree, there is a nuclear plant. Mm-hmm. And it's a small one, so it's probably what we call an SMR, a small modular reactor. And you can see how it is connected by those telephone poles and the wires to this little hut where two people are sitting under a light bulb reading books. Now, what this tells us is that, number one, because of electricity, not only can they read books, but they wouldn't have the time to be reading books if they didn't have electricity so that they could have a washing machine and an electric pump on their well so that they wouldn't have to go lug water and spend all day long washing their clothes. Right. So electricity brings not just the ability to read, but the ability to educate themselves and to use their time productively to lift themselves out of poverty. So it's really, I think, a magnificent, the people in the circles, that's evidently a standard dance formation of the Worli.
You know, I read on your website that there are 300 million people that don't have electricity in the world.
Yes.
So think about these small reactor plants that you can build around these places and provide electricity for these people that don't have those. You know, we take it so much for granted here in the United States. But that's amazing, and I love all the artwork. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if that was done by hand, but I noticed that some of your submissions that people sent were in digital form as well, and that's become a whole new way of artists to express themselves through digital artistry.
We have a great selection of stuff, and we're going to have an exhibit. Now, for this contest, we partnered with the Fitchburg Art Museum, and our exhibit will be in their community gallery, and it starts March 6th, and it'll run through March 30th.
Yep.
And we're going to have an opening reception on Saturday, March 9th from 2 to 4. And if you want to come, all of you at home want to come to our exhibit, there's no admission charge on that Saturday if you're coming just to see the community gallery. And we're going to have an awards ceremony, and as many of the artists as possible will be there. Of course, I'm afraid Gayatri won't be there, and several others, but I think it'll be a wonderful celebration.
Have you announced the winners already?
No, no, we haven't.
Okay.
So that'll be announced at the exhibit.
And has the contest closed at this point?
Yes.
Okay, it has. So
yes, it is.
All right, well, that's exciting. So as far as your organization goes, what's the biggest challenge that your organization faces?
I believe it's the misinformation about nuclear. There's a lot of fear because people automatically can tell you where the accidents have happened, you know, and the truth is that there have been very few people killed by nuclear accidents. In the United States, we have been running nuclear plants since the late 50s, and there have been no fatalities due to radiation or contamination in any way. And the other problem that people feel is a problem is they look at nuclear waste. And nuclear waste is actually a reason to be supportive of nuclear because all of the waste is contained. And today, if we took all of the waste from the 50, 60, 70 years that we have been creating energy with nuclear, it would fit in a football field 20 feet high, you know? And if you compare that to the coal ash, you know, that's around, the CO2 that's in the atmosphere, it's really very minimal.
Not only that, but I saw on your website some photos of this, what looked like a little toy tractor, but it was actually a big one.
Yeah.
But it was taken high up, so it looked small, but it was burying blades from windmill farms that died, you know, that had to be
Exactly.
replaced. And they're not biodegradable, they're not, you know, they're not recyclable, so they were just burying them. And, you know, I'm sure that can't be good for the environment. But
Yeah.
also on your website, you know, it does talk about the things, because you're right. When I hear nuclear, I think Chernobyl, I think 3 Mile Island, I think, you know,
Fukushima.
right. And really, I don't know if there's been others than those three. I know that you list those three, but those are the ones that everybody kind of knows
Exactly.
and fears.
Exactly.
And plus, you know, we were always growing up, when I was growing up, we were under the threat of nuclear attack from Russia, you know?
Yeah.
And so people think nuclear bombs when they think
Right.
nuclear. But
Right.
there is a way, and I think Einstein probably had this in his mind when he was thinking of all this stuff, to harness the energy and
Exactly.
to make it a benefit to mankind and not a weapon. So,
Exactly.
but I'm just amazed also at what they call the clean emissions or the clean air that comes out of the stacks. You know, most people think of smokestacks or big stacks spewing out waste.
Yeah.
And some of your artwork that came in pictured butterflies and life in these air flows, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I thought that was very clever to get the idea that what's coming out of those is not toxic.
It's steam. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
It's
it's
clean
water.
steam.
Yeah.
In
Clean
fact,
steam.
The theme that fell out of our art submissions is that almost every artist expressed the harmony of nuclear power with nature. And that I think is true.
Right.
That's true.
Well, we need to do something, you know, because maybe America is doing an okay job at cutting emissions and keeping an eye on things, but it's not so much the rest of the world. So, you know, if we can get clean energy into these parts of the world and get them to
Yeah.
start buying in, if you will,
Right.
you know, maybe we can do something to reverse what's going
Well,
on.
even here, I think there are a lot of misconceptions. For instance, one of our challenges is to try to get people to look at not just, we know that wind and solar have produced CO2-free electricity, but that's not the whole footprint of wind and solar on the planet. What we really need to look at for all of our energy sources is what's the full lifespan impact on the planet. If you take into consideration the materials that are needed, the mining, the land footprint, and the waste of any source that you're
Sure.
looking at, you'll find that nuclear is actually the kindest to the planet because, as you said, on 1 square mile of the land, you can have a nuclear plant that produces as much energy as up to 75 square miles of solar panels or 360 square miles of wind.
Right.
And think about all of the waste that's going to be coming from solar panels and the wind turbines. They last about 20 or 30 years, and solar panels have toxic elements fused in them, which makes it very difficult to recycle them and separate out those elements. So are they going to go into our landfills? I mean, look at all, I mean, you can just look around and see all the solar panels, and where are they going to go? And is that all going to leach into our landfills, or are we going to ship it off to somebody we hardly know?
Well, you're right. And the other thing is that these energy sources depend on wind and depend on the sun. When
So
the
they're
sun's not
they're
shining,
not as reliable.
right, they're not producing the energy,
Right.
whereas you can store energy and get it anytime you
Yeah.
want from a nuclear plant.
Right.
So,
And the key that nuclear has that these other sources don't have is what you call energy density. From a little nuclear fuel pellet that's about the size of a little gummy bear, you can get as much energy as from a ton of coal. So think about what that means in terms of sourcing all of that material. You just source that little bit of uranium, that's not going to destroy a lot of the world. And it's the same reason why the waste stream has such a small volume, is because it's from a very small amount of material, we're getting a huge amount of energy. So it's
Right.
much easier,
And-
much better.
And there's a lot of talk recently about the grid and enhancing the grid.
Right.
Well, if you put your solar fields and your wind turbines away from the population centers, then you have to create great carriers.
Right.
But we can replace fossil fuel plants with nuclear plants and increase and we don't really have to increase the footprint of the grid that much.
Right.
We'll have to enhance it so that it can handle more traffic. But
so this has been fascinating, and we're kind of out of time for this segment, but where can people get more information? I mean, I got a lot of information from the website, so
Right.
obviously that's a good place, and that's econuclearsolutions.org.
Right.
And remember, we have the address right here on my
Okay.
belly, or here
Is it there?
on the screen, so you can see what it is. But also, as far as there's also information about the art show on there.
Right.
That's coming up
Right.
in March, and the exhibit that runs through March
30th.
30th,
The end of-
so the whole month of March. That's great.
Yep.
And we need people to be informed, to get involved.
Right.
Grassroots organizations like this start off slow, but they certainly, as we can see, there are people paying attention from all over the world
Right.
Yeah.
about things like this. So
We
that's
do
exciting.
have monthly movie nights where
Yeah.
we'll show videos that focus on some aspect of the whole energy scene.
And I have to say, Hollywood, with their coming out of the movie Oppenheimer, which you mentioned, it gave me a little renewed interest in atomic energy and fusion and different sources. These scientists back then that were working on them. Of course, the government had them working for other reasons, but they really, their main goal was to better mankind.
There's another movie, Nuclear Now, which is an Oliver Stone movie that everyone should watch if they want to see why we should be using nuclear power now.
Oliver Stone, he's not controversial.
You can get that on Netflix.
On Netflix, yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
you can get it on Netflix.
Great. Well, Marcia and Carolyn, thank you very much for stopping by and talking to me about the contest, about nuclear energy. It's fascinating stuff. And
Yeah.
so thank you both.
Well, thank you
you.
for your interest in
Yeah.
inviting us.
Great.
Thank you.
So, that sounded interesting. I never knew anything about it. And that there's art to go along with it?
Yeah, well, that was the kind of the contest to promote awareness for, nuclear energy. And, I'm definitely looking into it some more. I might build a nuclear power plant in my backyard. I got 3 acres, and so
Okay. I don't have that in my backyard.
yeah,
I just have
just a small one. I mean, not one of the big ones.
I just have birdhouses and squirrel places.
That's good too. Yeah.
And speaking of squirrels and bunnies and birds, Easter is coming on March 31st, and this is a religious holiday. So why the Easter bunny and eggs? Well, a simple
Easy for you to say.
explanation is that the rabbit and eggs are associated with Easter because they both are symbols of new life. And the reason is not a chicken, is because rabbits reproduce a lot. So as a symbol Representing new life, rabbits took the edge over chickens.
Wow, this segment is deteriorating fast. Well, decorating eggs is a tradition which dates back to the 13th century. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, my birthday.
Well, the 13th century, that's funny. Yeah. Some say that eggs were formerly a forbidden food during Lent. So people would paint and decorate them to mark the end of the period of penance and fasting. And then they would eat them on Easter as a celebration. So there's a lot to celebrate in March, including my birthday. Don't forget that. So if you'd like to send me a card or a letter or a gift card or something, small, nothing,
or not,
nothing big. I want to tell you something too. Before I show you this, remind you that I want to get out and vote on March 5th in the primary. This is at Littleton Middle School. The polls open at 8 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. So there's plenty of time for you to get down there and vote. Okay. So now, have you seen this?
Very good.
Yes, this is the Historically Speaking, the Littleton Historical Society newsletter that they put out.
That's great.
It is. It's chock full of all sorts of fun trivia and pictures and just, it's just like a gem. I really love it.
Yeah.
If you want to get this, contact the Historical Society, get on their mailing list, get this. You'll really love it. It's chock full of all sorts of stuff. And, if you haven't been to the Historical Society lately, you want to check it out too, because they're always changing their exhibits, and there's always something historical there at the Historical Society, right? That's what they do.
Right. Right. So, anyway.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. And Barbara, what do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say I will never say stay away from growing old, but I will say be prepared, and then it won't bring you so many surprises, because that's what I feel like I've had these last couple of years. Only a couple years that I've been growing old. But anyway, look for our senior follies, and don't forget to hug a senior.
All right, I will do that.